is up, people? It is Dave. It's Duncan back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. And for this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new album from Italian symphonic death metal band Genus Ordinis Dei. The band's new album, The Beginning, will be released on December 8th via Eclipse Records. So, The Beginning is the fourth studio album.
It's not beginning at all, false advertising.
It's not, but is it? It's not, but it might be. From the symphonic death metal band, which redefines the way we listen to music and process cinematic theatre. In simpler terms, the final product is an exceptional 12-track album and a stunning set of representative videos called episodes that directly address the way we use our senses. Interspliced in a clever foreshadowing technique are images of blood pouring over a stone, advancing like the crooked fingers of some skeletal miscreant, and when the brother character starts singing, we are startled into the recognition that this is not merely some standard high-quality film, but the vibrant offspring we get from a brilliant, well-produced metal album. Symbolically, the parallel is clear. We are watching exquisite savages at the dawn of existence who are shockingly similar to us in terms of their passion, physicality, and natural tendencies toward glorified violence. More thematically, Genus Ordinis Dei show us quite clearly that brutality is the lifeblood of society, and we still do ironically fool ourselves with carefully crafted social constructs. The Beginning is not just music, it's an experience, a red dawn, an awakening. The album was produced, recorded, mixed, and mastered by guitarist Tommaso at Sonata Studios in Crema, Italy. So, album number 4. But weirdly not a band I was that familiar with before checking this album out.
So you could say, Dave, this was the beginning of your listening journey with this band. Works on levels, man. Levels and fucking levels.
Okay, cards on table. I was unsure initially whether or not we should review this album.
I was not aware of this, Dave. What happened?
Because I listened to one of the singles from the album, and when I heard it, I was like, okay, that's cool. But I was slightly concerned that I might just end up with us constantly comparing
Pearl
this
Jam.
band.
Yeah, Pearl Jam.
Comparing this band with another band
Yeah. Even flow.
that have similar traits.
Yeah.
A band
Alice
that
in Chains. I'm the man in the box.
No. A band they share a link with, that are as heavy and savage as this band, with vocals as scorching hot as magma.
Oh.
It is, obviously. Limp Bizkit.
Yep.
No,
do you
obviously.
know where you are, listener?
I'm referring to the French band Gojira, which there are likenesses to, but we need to just get that out there. There is no getting away from that.
Who's this Gojira of which you speak?
Rhythmically, stylistically, even vocally, there are comparisons to be made. And I think, like, if you're itching for some of that kind of heavier Gojira style,
See
for
what
example,
down here, I like this strategy. This is a strategy I would have deployed as well. If you're thinking to yourself, that last Gojira album was good, but
yeah.
they've kind of went off in a direction that is very un-Gojira.
Yes.
Then
Exactly. Yeah. If you are,
if
you're
you've got a
looking for
hankering,
that,
if you've got an itch, Dave, there's an itch that you can't quite reach. It's somewhere in the middle of your back, and your arms won't meet.
Yeah.
To get that itch, and that little itch there is something a bit more old school Gojira. Then, Dave, do I have the album that you can put in your hand and scratch your back with?
This is that album. Yeah, absolutely. If you're a big fan of like the Way of All Flesh or La Font Sauvage, that kind of stuff, then yeah, this is you'll find a lot of this enjoyable. So I'd heard the single. You heard the single. We're like, let's do it.
I heard the single. This is all news.
You heard the single. Let's chat. Let's talk about it. Let's see what this album's all about. And now got to the stage where I've listened to the album 3 or 4 times, and there are definite moments where things do veer away from the Gojira-isms.
The symphonic stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Specifically, the symphonic stuff is the big thing that makes this album different from Gojira. And I would say they are not averse to just throwing in a straight-up thrash riff in their songs.
Yeah.
I think it breaks up the sound, where Gojira, as much as we love them, we all love them, don't do that. They stick very much to the sound.
Yeah,
it's their sound. That's why they stick to it.
Yeah.
These guys use it as a predominant part of their sound.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff that they can bring to the mix, because that's not their sound, allows them to create huge soundscapes in their tracks that go off in directions that a band like Gojira would never.
Yeah, that first track, when they hit the chorus of Eternus, that huge symphonic section kicks in, and it's like, that is a definite change.
There's a goddamn 1980s thrash riff in that song on there. You're like, oh, that's fucking great. Let's just do that.
When I heard it, I was like, oh, right, okay, that's definitely of a more kind of old school sound. And I kind of thought, I was thinking like, it kind of put me in mind of like an Orbit Culture, how they're kind of doing a similar thing with, they've got Gojira comparisons, but they also have something, they've merged theirs with something more kind of Metallica-ish. And this is a similar idea. They've kind of pulled from a kind of older sound as well. There's more of that like symphonic grandeur right throughout this album. Tracks like Genesis as well. But this time, towards the end of Genesis, they also go a little bit more into the kind of blackened side of things as well, which gives it a whole other spin. I love that. I really like the kind of the blackened stuff that they threw in from time to time, especially on Genesis. Another thing I really liked was the kind of Native American vibes on the album, especially on We Are the Strangers. I think that track could be one of the standouts on this album. I really enjoyed it. It's heavy and it's very like crushing in its kind of rhythm. The riffs are on point for sure. It kind of leans slightly more into the kind of into the death metal realm as the track goes on, but they pepper it with a big melody, an atmosphere, making it sound absolutely huge. And that's one thing this album does really well. It sounds massive. The layers of the kind of symphonic instrumentation, kind of coupled with the tightness of the band and that really colossal production, those elements all make this album shine. There's not one track here that doesn't grab you by the neck and make you want to headbang. They all have that kind of like, here's that moment where it's just pure groove, and they do it exceptionally well. They do it very well indeed. But big riffs, production were amazing. But there was one other thing about this album that it does that I haven't really seen any other band do this year at this kind of high level. I mentioned earlier that to go with the album, the band have released these episodes, which are basically like short videos to go with the tracks. Now, here's where it gets interesting. I didn't know that the previous album is called Glare of Deliverance. It also had accompanying videos to go with the album, 10 videos they put out for that album. And these videos were basically telling the story of a woman called Eleanor, who is persecuted by the Holy Inquisition. Now, their new album, The Beginning, is actually a prequel to that album.
It's too clever, Dave.
Yeah, and the videos they've released so far, if you watch the videos are incredible. Like, these are like proper movie-like music videos, but with actors, a production team, special effects, the lot. The level of detail that has gone into these videos and this whole like interlinked concept is pretty amazing. Like, I take my hat off to the band, who I know they've done a lot of this themselves, but it's very high level stuff. I was really impressed with the quality of the videos are exceptional. Overall, as an album, it's very well done. Like, I can't like knock the musicianship. It's killer. It's got a ton of variety. It's layered. It's fucking thunderously heavy. The symphonic work is tremendous. That really accents a lot of those heavy sections and the melodies. I think that the level of proficiency here is very impressive, and this is a trio as well. Take that, in mind.
Yeah.
Have their shit locked down for a three-piece. Very epic in every way, including the production from the band's guitarist Tommaso. Stellar job, like recorded, produced, mixed, mastered by him. Absolutely killed it in that department. They wear some of their influences on their sleeve, but I enjoyed it though. I did enjoy the album. I can't say like, it sounds like Gojira. I didn't really like it. They do it very well. What about yourself? What do you think? What do you make of this one?
I mean, you're never in a bad boat when people are comparing your sim to arguably one of the biggest metal bands in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It'd be like listening to Trivium and saying, I can't listen to that Trivium because it sims a bit like Metallica. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing. The reason when we were talking about, and I will acknowledge that we did listen to a single together, I kind of push for it is because I sometimes feel people are too quick to judge.
Yeah.
When they hear something, like fucking, it's got dance beats in it. No doing that. You know what I mean? We sometimes are too quick to judge. I'm a firm believer that even if a Gojira releases a track that you are not too keen on, Dave, I will say, well, listen to it into the context of the album, because its placement might make sense for a change in direction. The thing that kind of stood out here on the beginning was that, yes, like we said before, it has like 75% of this is old school Gojira, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's the 25% that really makes it a more interesting listen beyond the sum of its parts. You get those bits that feel familiar through almost all their songs.
Yeah.
But then they just layer something in that takes it off in a different direction, or gives you that cool moment that makes you forget the other band that you were comparing it to, with those elements that build on top of it. I think it's very measured as well. I think they have a great grasp of... I'm always wary about symphonic metal because I always feel like it's a bit of a gimmick. It's like, we're just going to play stuff and we're going to make it sound bigger because of all these other instruments are in the background doing shit, but what we're doing is fine.
Yeah.
What they do is actually craft it the right way, and the Italians seem to have this is like fucking locked in. It's bellissimo, Dave. What they do is they actually utilise it in the way that it should be utilised, as in song composition. Someone crafting the parts, and then this bit's the bit that builds it. And I can imagine a composer in an amphitheatre, the band are playing, and he's over at the strings, he's like this, getting out. Like I can feel that a bit. The song construction's really, really, really well done. Vocally, it's fucking huge. Yes, once again, it sounds a little Gojira-esque. But I would argue to an extent, any death metal, like, we forget, there are bands before Gojira that were doing tonal screaming and death metal. It's just they didn't shift as many albums. That's really the difference. He wasn't the first guy to do that, right? No. And bands that have come after that sadly have been painted with the I'm just trying to sound like his tone is kind of similar. That's fine. But it works. Like the vocal melody stuff, or aggro melody, is super cool. They use of kind of choral vocals, which are more kind of synth based than anything else. Or tracks like Blackstone really work incredibly well as well. They're not overused. And that's the thing about it. Like, they feel like when they're crafting a song, they're crafting a soundscape. And that works for me. Like, I felt at moments that Blackstone's a track I'll mention again, where I was listening to that, I could imagine like a fight scene in like an old Colosseum or something. It's huge and operatic and emotionally charged. And they have that all working with them. The musicality on it is fucking incredible. Guitar playing is phenomenal. Bass stuff is in the pocket as fuck. Drumming is great. This is the one element of the band that is not Gojira-esque. Like, fully. Because the Gojira drumming is so, like, unique to his style of playing. But I kind of love that about because this guy is just so fucking well-rounded. Like, really, 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 really fucking good. You want double bass pedals? Here's double bass pedals. You want a wee blast? Here's a wee blast. You want cymbals and fast fills? I can do that as well. You want something that goes old school thrash? I can do that. And the switch-ups in those drum planes are fucking great. My only gripe on this one is not on production, it's not on vocals, it's not on songwriting, it's not even on comparisons, as I think it's a tad long. That is really it. I think by about the 50-minute mark, I was kind of like, yep, I've got this.
Yeah.
And then it went on a wee bit more, and I was like, I didn't dislike it, but fatigue certainly was setting in towards the end. And that is really it. My complaint is they were giving me too much of a good thing. I would have had a slightly shorter album. I understand that I've not watched the videos, so linking the stories and the concepts back sometimes gives you a greater appreciation for length. It's like the same way I mentioned the first time I listened to Crack the Sky by Mastodon, my thoughts were, some of these songs are a bit long. You know what I mean? Like 9-minute song here, like they were playing the same bit like 17 times. And then I saw it live with the full show and the videos and like all the artwork like that. And it was like, oh yeah, like this, it makes perfect sense. It's perfect length and all the rest. Sometimes audio-visual combinations benefit from the full experience. To take in the full experience and taking one side out of context doesn't aid it in any way, shape or form. So I think it's about 7 minutes too long. Notwithstanding that, it's fucking great. And yeah, I'm glad that we didn't go with our gut on this one and actually powered through.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy and lazy to say, well, they sound like Gojira. Because they do. I challenge anyone coming to this album to actually not spend a lot more time talking about the bits that differentiate them from them, because they're all over the album.
Yeah. Nice. Scores for the beginning. Initially was a little bit like tentative about it. I was like, okay, do we review this? Do we not? I'm not sure how this is going to go. But I was kind of pleasantly surprised. Yeah, there's definite influences there that they were on show. But as you said, those little other kind of elements, little sprinklings, they do just give it a slightly different kind of streak at times. The symphonic stuff, the vocals are very good. Like, I think like it's easy to say like, oh, it just sounds like Joe from Gojira. That's not an easy vocal style to replicate.
No, as if every cunt can do it.
I know. Everyone would be doing it if they could, but it's very good. Like, musicianship is very good. Production's fucking awesome. Like, for this to be done in house as well.
Tonight, Matthew, I'm gonna be Joe from Gojira. It's only a joke if you're our age and lived in the UK.
But still enjoyed it. I'm going to go 4 out of 5 in this one. I would say check out the album, but have a look at the videos. It definitely gives the album more context, and they're fucking incredible. Like, really well done. What about yourself? What are you going to score at the beginning?
I get a feeling that we're going to be joining up grades quite a lot tonight. 4 from me as well. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the listen on this one. Yeah. Like I say, I went in with a degree of optimism, but a huge amount of skepticism. And by the end of the first listen, they'd won me over. My only complaint is I think it's a bit too long, and that's what kind of knocks it down. I've not done the research that you've done in terms of checking out video content and all the rest. If I'd done that, it may be in a 0.5 higher, but 4 from me.
Nice. So that is the new album from Genus Ordinis Dei. It's called The Beginning. It's out on December 8th on Eclipse Records. Links below to the band and the pre-order. Have a little listen, check it out, let us know what you think. That is the review. Thanks for checking it out. We'll be back with another review very soon, but until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.